This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you here in beautiful Squamish, British Columbia. Today is Wednesday, April the 12th, 2017, and we are right now just hours away from the Liberal government being about to announce their bill, placing this piece of legislation on the table tomorrow in regards to the legalization of cannabis in Canada. And in this video, we're going to break down everything we need to know about some of these newest developments. And joining us here in front of Grassroots Medicinal is the owner of Grassroots Medicinal, the founder of Liberty Farms, and the president of the Cannabis Growers of Canada Association, Chad Jackett. So, Chad, tomorrow's a big day, you know, for Canadians. I mean, this has been a long time in the coming. First of all, you know, before we get into some of the specifics about what we can expect in this bill, why the heck is it taking this long in the first place? I mean, most people are probably thinking, shouldn't it have been legal already by now?
Well, because there is a few people out there, well, a handful of people out there that would like to capture and own the entire industry, and they've been trying to figure out how to best do that without looking like the, you know, fascist type people that they actually are.
Right. So trying not to appear that it's about control, but trying to make it more so that it's about giving the Canadians what they want, right? And now what they're apparently going to be giving us tomorrow, some of the things in this legislation I want to get your thoughts on. Some of the things they're talking about are, first of all, this is going to have to go through the provinces. You know, this is coming down from the federal government, but there's disagreements about what the age limit might be set at. Some people say 18, some people say 21. And they're also suggesting that Canadians are going to be able to have upwards of 30 grams on them and potentially even grow upwards of 4 plants at home. This sounds pretty good, but what are your thoughts on what this actually is going to entail?
All I think that is to appease the masses, the people that, you know, they want to try to put a lot of the fire out in the whole sort of cannabis, you know, true legalization fight, if you will, or, you know, the real repeal of prohibition. So I think, you know, by appeasing some of the people that don't really understand this whole fight as to what it is, this struggle, if you will. A lot of people don't like the word fight. I don't know. It is what it is. They're playing quite dirty. We're being very nonviolent and just trying to bring the truth. But
I think a lot of people are going to be excited, though, about this concept or idea of being able to grow plants at home. But this hasn't been passed yet. This bill is not put into law. The Police Service Association Board is going to be working hard to make sure that that does not happen, because this is going to take the money out of the pockets of the LPs, right? And they don't want you to be able to grow at home.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, even take it back further than that. You look at Anslinger when he, you know, was the one in the United States that ran the campaign of prohibition against cannabis in the first place. You know, we were getting out of the prohibition of alcohol at that time, and there was a massive bureaucracy that they'd built up to, you know, around the fear of all these apparent gangsters selling alcohol at the time. You know, and so they needed something for that, and so they basically just took it and shifted it over to where we are right now with cannabis. So we've got massive bureaucracies all over the place that really depend on people getting caught up in the system and being, you know, thrown through the crap, the perpetual, you know, I don't even know what you want to call it, circle of shit. And yeah, they really just need to keep their jobs. You know, the judges need to keep people, you know, coming to them. The lawyers need people coming to them. The police really count on being able to, you know, shake you down, come into your home, do whatever they want to do just because they might have smelt a whiff of some cannabis. That's something that they really love. You know, there's the fact that it smells too. It has an odor. You smoke a joint on your back porch and that wafts next door. Your neighbor calls the police on you. They could probably get probable cause, and even if you don't have anything in your home, well, now they can just have a good look. Doesn't matter, you know. So they like to have a skeleton key to everybody's home, if you will. So, and everybody's, you know, privacy. So, and they really would just like to keep those prisons full and the bureaucracy running.
Yeah, and the money flowing into not only Big Pharma's pockets, but these select few LPs, who, let's face it, these are the insiders, right?
Yes, these are definitely some insiders. You know, you've got ex-DEA in some of these LPs. You've got people from other countries all over the place, you know, everywhere, but pretty much Canada. You know, there's a few people from Canada that have LPs, but there's really not very many. So yeah, the wealth that is going to be, you know, produced from the cannabis industry is going to be extracted, most of it, from the wealth of Canadians and from our country, quite frankly, and given to people from other countries, multinationals and so on. So it's really important that, you know, people in the community and in their communities that understand BC Bud, they understand that cannabis has been here for 30, 40 plus years, supporting their communities and helping them, you know, the cash that's flowing around and helping them in a bookstore, the pizza shop, everywhere. You know, when these people realize that, they really should get behind the small folks that you know, started this industry, and they should look up the Cannabis Growers of Canada. They should contact myself or my wife or Dawn or somebody from the Cannabis Growers of Canada and look into what they can do to, you know, be a voice. If they have ideas, please bring them to us, because we're always looking for them, you know. And we really need, I think this year is a huge year, because as you see, they're bringing in this legalization that they're calling legalization. I don't think it's going to be anything what the people really truly want. And it's this year is a good, it's the time that we just jump on board and we all get together and we say enough is enough. We need to really have the true legalization that the people want, and you know, put our crap aside and really get down to business here. And you know, that being said, if we don't, they're going to keep pushing their legalization, their legislation, and they're going to regulate everybody out of the market. We've seen this, you know, this push to just lock people up and bust more people under Trudeau than we have under any other prime minister in the past. So, you know, we see with their actions what their legalization truly means. And I think it's really up to us to say, no, that's not what we fought for. That's not what we've put our lives on the line for. And it's time for all of us people that built this industry to stand up and do something about it.
And, you know, it's not just in the legislation and in the bill, it's in the bud itself. I mean, isn't it true that if people can have 30 grams on them, well, it's going to have to be this LP-issued weed that's essentially might be GMO, it might be radiated, it's going to have all the medicinal benefits of it reduced. So even if we do get this legalization that people are excited about carrying around 30 grams, is this really the kind of cannabis that you want to have with you anyways? Maybe this is why we need to focus back to the mom and pops, to the small industry people who built this industry.
That's right, and that's what I've been afraid of for a very long time, and that's another reason that I built myself and other people, you know, started the Cannabis Growers of Canada, because quite frankly, I saw the GMOing of our industry coming, you know, and the fact that if they could haul those plants away from everybody off that first swipe of the MMAR Coalition Against Repeal, you know, we fought and kept our gardens. If we didn't keep that, you know, they could have very much done a sweep and taken all the genetics from everybody, quite frankly, right across the country. And they tried to fear everybody into giving those genetics up to the LPs. So giving their good genetics, that's a lot of intellectual property that those people have put into those genetics. They've done all this work now for these LPs just because the LPs feared them and said, well, if you ever want to smoke this plant again, you know, you can give your genetics to us and maybe we'll sell it back to you. I mean, it's terrible what they've done. The GMOing, I've heard all kinds of whispers, you know, in the hallways of you know, the legislators and stuff. Some of the people that are, you know, little things are coming out, and I've heard things back in the day where people were talking about a spray that would be on the cannabis, and or not a spray that would be on the cannabis, but something. Maybe it was a spray, I'm not exactly sure, don't quote me on it, but it was something that would be on the cannabis where they would test it, and if that cannabis came up in their little solution with a certain color, then they knew it was LP cannabis. And if it didn't come up with that certain solution, it would be then deemed, you know, illegal terrorist weed or whatever, right? So, yeah, so I don't know how far along they've gotten with that, or if they're still trying to implement something like that. But these are the fears that I do have, you know, is now with legalization, now you just only have to have the certain, you know, pill bottle in your pocket that is some GMO crap, and eventually maybe it might just be something that you can't even really get any medicinal benefits from. You know, they're talking about limiting the amount of THC counts that are in plants and stuff. How are they planning on doing all these things, right? So I've very much been worried about all that. That's why we all need to stand together, stand by our genetics that we've created. These genetics are genetics that are known all across the country and all across the world, for that matter. And you know, it's something we need to be proud of. It's a lot of work to actually go through all the phenotyping, to go through the breeding, you know, back crossing, and all these things that people have done. And you know, do not, you know, take that for granted. And you know, realize that that is very important, and don't just let the LPs steal all that from you, you know?
Well, when it comes to losing our genetics and having to give over genetics, I want to get your thoughts on this. This is something else that's going to be on this bill tomorrow, and this opens up a huge can of worms, and now they're beginning to talk about the concept of roadside saliva testing, collecting your DNA on the side of the road in order to see if you are an impaired cannabis driver.
So you remember those old commercials where you saw Ronald Reagan and all those guys, and they look at the camera and they say, "Just say no." Well, that's what I say about that. Just say no. Do not submit to a roadside saliva DNA test. They're collecting your DNA, folks. That's super overreaching. Government, you should never give your genetics. Why are you giving them your genetics of your body now? That's you. And you know what? You know they can clone people and they can do all kinds of weird stuff. I don't trust them. Don't give them your DNA.
Yeah, that is, as we said, a very slippery slope that could lead to God only knows what kind of tyrannical world that we're slipping into. So exactly. let's not even think about going there. One other thing on this bill that's supposed to be announced tomorrow that some people are maybe interested in is the fact that people on Health Canada's board would like to have it so that maybe some people can smoke recreational cannabis at certain potencies, and you can only have the stronger stuff, say shatter extracts, if you are above the age of 25, but if you are over 18 or 21, you can have some of the less potent stuff. What do you think about them regulating that to that extent?
I think it's ridiculous. You know, to be honest with you, this whole recreational thing kind of irks me a little bit. It's all medicinal. No matter how you use this plant, it's used medicinally. So I think they're bringing in this whole rec thing to bring in all these Triconian type legislation. Otherwise, they're just hunting down a bunch of, you know, people that are trying to heal themselves or give themselves, you know, the benefits of cannabis, or, you know, their patients, you know. So they look bad, you know, running around giving patients saliva tests and all kinds of things, you know, being that this plant is simply a medicinal plant. But if they deem it as something other than that, then they can try to, in the minds of the masses, they can try to justify their behavior when taking roadside saliva and this and that, I believe.
Yeah, totally. So when it comes to supporting the mom and pops, that's a little bit of what I want to focus on the end of this video, and we're going to take you right on inside for a moment to Grassroots Medicinal so you can see what that's like here in Squamish, British Columbia. But before we do, check out this ad right here from our good friends at Liberty Farms. YouTube is severely restricting our monetization on our videos, but you know what? Screw them. That doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and take the advertising into our own hands by supporting people and companies that we want to support and that we want to show their ads for. So if you want to have your ad showed on the PFT channel, send me a message at dan@pressfortruth.ca. All right, let's go on inside to Grassroots Medicinal and check it out on the inside. Well, you got an absolutely beautiful place here, Chad, and just in closing, how much hope should people really be putting into this piece of legislation that's going to be coming out tomorrow? In the sense that, is this something people should really be looking forward to? Because the Liberals have made a lot of promises in regards to legalization. Should people be hopeful that tomorrow we're going to get the kind of legalization that we want?
No, don't believe the hype. So don't allow them to extinguish the fire that's in your heart for true legalization with giving you just a little tiny piece of something to appease that. Stand up. Remember that we've got them on the run, and it's now time for all of us, the people, to tell them, the government and the bureaucrats and these large corporations, it's us. We want true legalization. It's not about them. We want it for the people. And if we don't stand up and voice our opinion on that, we're not going to get it, because these people will continue to bring in legislation that is only good for them and their licensed producer conglomerate, their monopoly that they've formed. And you know, quite frankly, the bankers, I mean, you know.
Yeah, and you are the one who's essentially setting up this lobby who's going to take on the government to fight for the rights of the growers and the people. So people watching today who might want to get involved in that, where can they go? Where can they sign up? How can they be a part of this?
So check out Cannabis Growers of Canada. You know, any information that you have that you think you can help with, that would be great. You know, we need funding because we have to pay to be out there, and, you know, paying for lobbyists and paying for people to work for us to just keep the organization running. We need to be able to, you know, have a presence at places like, you know, at 420 and all over the place. So, and you know, we can't do that without funding. Unfortunately, you know, this world runs on money, and I can't do it all on my own. I would love to. I would love to give it to everybody. I would love to just be able to make this all happen all on my own accord. But it's very tough to do this all on your own. So I would ask everybody out there to help me out and help everybody else out there that wants legalization, true legalization, does not want to see people go and get thrown through the legal system and thrown in prisons, and their children get criminal records and not be able to travel, and all this stuff that happens, and people get actually killed over this legislation, you know, because of the fact that, you know, it's illegal, and somebody calls the cops on somebody, those cops walk into somebody's house, and they don't know that they might, you know, have a license or whatever, but those you know are just, you know, growing it for themselves, and they don't even have a license. It doesn't matter. Personally, the license shouldn't matter. It's a plant, and when these cops walk in and they shoot somebody or hurt somebody over a plant that somebody's simply trying to use for their own benefit, it's a crime, and it's a sin, and it's terrible. You know, and we shouldn't put our police in that situation either. It really criminalizes the police. It puts the police in the eyes of the people as being these terrible, wicked, vicious people that are, you know, just basically running around and being the enforcement arm of bureaucrats. Nobody wants that in their country. They don't, you know, you want to be able to trust those people. So it's time we start repealing all these bad laws, one of them being the cannabis law. When we can start repealing these bad laws, people will actually start to trust the police again. The police won't be looked at as these gangster thugs that just want to come and shake you down on the side of the road anymore.
Yeah. Exactly, and hopefully we can move towards actual real legalization in the way that it's supposed to be, not the way that the Liberals are going to announce it tomorrow. So we'll just have to wait and see. Check the links in the description if you want to get involved, you want to support guys like Chad. And stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.